No one could have predicted that July 2021 would bring an event so shocking to the residents of Pinehurst that it would forever alter the fabric of their peaceful community. Nestled in a serene suburb, Pinehurst was the epitome of idyllic suburban life, with its well-manicured lawns and charming white picket fences painting a picture of perfect family life. Neighbors exchanged warm greetings, children played outside until dusk, and the local schools served as the hub of social activity. But beneath this picturesque surface, dark secrets simmered, and rising tensions were about to explode. At the center of this unfolding drama were the Martins, David, a 42-year-old real estate developer, and his wife Claire, a 39-year-old homemaker. David was a man of charm and business acumen, his confidence seemingly unshakable. His success in real estate had made him a prominent figure in Pinehurst, admired by some, envied by others. His colleagues and clients respected his sharp mind and persuasive abilities, which had led to many lucrative deals. Frequently seen at the local golf club, David was known for his flair in entertaining clients and networking, his charisma making him the focal point of any gathering. Claire, in contrast, embodied grace and dedication. She had left her career in event planning to fully immerse herself in raising their two children, Emily and Jack. Claire's life revolved around her family, and she was revered for her unwavering involvement in school activities, charity events, and the community church. Her warm demeanor and natural elegance made her a beloved figure in Pinehurst, often seen organizing bake sales or volunteering at the local food bank. To outsiders, the Martins appeared to be the perfect couple, their marriage the cornerstone of their social circle. Living nearby was Emma Walsh, a 28-year-old kindergarten teacher who had recently moved to Pinehurst with her 5-year-old son, Noah. Emma sought refuge in Pinehurst from a turbulent past, marked by a bitter divorce. With her warm smile and nurturing nature, Emma quickly became a cherished presence at Pinehurst Elementary School. She was devoted to her students, often staying late to help with their projects or to speak with concerned parents. Noah, shy but bright, was the center of her world, and their bond was evident to all who saw them together. No one in Pinehurst could have foreseen that these seemingly ordinary lives would collide in such a catastrophic way. David Martin had always been driven by ambition. Born into a modest family, he had worked tirelessly to achieve success. His parents, hardworking but financially strained, instilled in him an unyielding work ethic. By his early 40s, David had become a dominant figure in the local real estate market, known for his sharp business acumen and smooth-talking demeanor. His rise to the top was marked by long hours, strategic networking, and an unrelenting determination to provide his family with the life he had always envisioned. Claire, on the other hand, came from a life of affluence. The daughter of a retired judge and a social worker, she had grown up in comfort and security. Her childhood was filled with music lessons, summer camps, and family vacations to exotic destinations. She met David at a charity auction, where his determination and charm immediately captivated her. Their courtship was swift, and they married within a year in a grand ceremony that cemented their status in the community. The early years of their marriage were blissful, filled with love, shared dreams, and the excitement of building a life together. David's career flourished, and Claire found fulfillment in raising their children, Emily and Jack. She was the perfect corporate wife, hosting lavish parties and engaging in community service. Her ability to balance the demands of motherhood with her social obligations made her a role model to many in Pinehurst. But as David's work demands grew, so did the distance between them. He often worked late, missing family dinners and school events, leaving Claire to navigate the challenges of parenthood alone. The once vibrant spark in their relationship began to fade, replaced by a growing sense of isolation and unspoken resentments. By the summer of 2021, the cracks in their marriage had deepened into chasms. David's absences became more frequent, and even when he was home, he was often preoccupied with work. His phone was a constant companion, buzzing with emails and messages that demanded his attention. Claire, now in her late 30s, struggled with feelings of isolation and dissatisfaction. She had sacrificed her career and personal ambitions to support David and raise their children, a decision that weighed heavily on her as she watched her husband become increasingly distant. David, for his part, was feeling the pressure of his success. The real estate market was competitive, and maintaining his status required constant effort. The stress of balancing work and family was taking its toll, and he found himself longing for an escape. It was during this time that he first met Emma Walsh at a neighborhood fundraiser. Her warmth and kindness were a stark contrast to the cold, tense atmosphere at home. They chatted briefly, sharing stories about their children and exchanging light compliments. But for David, that brief encounter was enough to leave a lasting impression. Over the following months, their paths crossed more frequently at school events, community functions, and eventually through friendly text messages. Emma, still recovering from her divorce, found herself drawn to David's charisma and attentiveness. He made her feel valued and appreciated, emotions she hadn't experienced in a long time. For David, Emma represented a respite from the pressures of his career and the tension at home. Their friendship quickly blossomed into a secret affair, filled with stolen moments and clandestine meetings. Their first kiss happened in late June, at the local park where Noah and Emily played together. David had offered to help Emma carry a heavy box of supplies for a school project. As they stood in the shade of an old oak tree, their conversation took a personal turn. Emma confided in David about her struggles as a single mother and her fears for the future. Moved by her vulnerability, David reached out to comfort her. Their kiss was electric, igniting a passion that neither had felt in years. From that moment, they were inseparable. They met in secluded spots around Pinehurst, rented motel rooms, and even risked encounters at Emma's home when Noah was at school. The affair gave David a sense of excitement and renewal, while Emma felt alive and desired. Yet the guilt gnawed at them both. Emma worried about the impact on her son and her career. David, though increasingly distant from Claire, still felt pangs of remorse for betraying his family. As the summer wore on, their secret became harder to keep. Close calls and suspicious glances from neighbors added to their anxiety. Claire, already on edge, began to notice David's frequent absences and distracted behavior. The tension in the Martin household reached a boiling point, setting the stage for the tragic events that would soon unfold. David and Emma's relationship grew deeper with each passing day. The excitement of their secret affair provided a much-needed escape for David, who found himself increasingly disillusioned with his work and home life. For Emma, being with David made her feel desired and valued in a way she hadn't felt since before her marriage fell apart. However, the guilt of their actions gnawed at them both. Emma worried constantly about the impact their affair might have on her son and her career. She feared the scandal that would erupt if their relationship was discovered and the potential damage to her reputation and her ability to provide for Noah. Despite these fears, she couldn't bring herself to end the affair. David, though increasingly distant from Claire, still felt pangs of remorse for betraying his family. He often found himself lying awake at night, torn between his obligations to his wife and children and his longing for the happiness he found with Emma. As the summer wore on, their secret became increasingly difficult to keep. Close calls and suspicious glances from neighbors added to their anxiety. One afternoon, they narrowly avoided being seen by a neighbor while stealing a quick kiss behind a row of bushes at the park. On another occasion, Claire found a receipt from a cafe that David had visited with Emma, leading to an awkward confrontation that David barely managed to deflect. Claire, already on edge from the growing emotional distance in her marriage, began to notice David's frequent absences and distracted behavior. David's distracted behavior did not go unnoticed by Claire. She observed his constant phone checking, vague excuses for coming home late, and a growing irritability and detachment that was unlike him. The tension in the Martin household reached its peak as arguments became a regular occurrence. Claire's frustration and suspicion grew, yet she was hesitant to confront David directly, fearing that her worst suspicions might be confirmed. The once thrilling and joyful affair between David and Emma was now a tangled web of lies and deceit. Every secret meeting carried the risk of exposure, and the excitement of their forbidden relationship was increasingly overshadowed by the heavy burden of guilt and the fear of discovery. As they tried to navigate this fragile balance, the strain began to take a toll on both of them. David's work performance suffered, and Emma found it harder to focus on her teaching. By the end of July, the tension was palpable. Emma suggested they take a break, hoping that some distance might help them gain perspective. Though David reluctantly agreed, the separation only intensified their longing for one another. They continued to text and call, their conversations a mix of longing, regret, and the desperate hope that they could find a way to be together without ruining their lives. The stage was set for a confrontation that would change everything. The lies, secrets, and simmering emotions were all about to collide in a way none of them could have anticipated. As the days grew shorter and the summer heat grew more oppressive, the once peaceful community of Pinehurst was on the brink of a scandal that would forever alter its quiet facade. On July 25, 2021, the day began with an unbearable heat, the air thick with humidity, a fitting reflection of the tension about to explode in the tranquil neighborhood of Pinehurst. It was a Sunday, typically a day for family gatherings and relaxation, and the residents of Pinehurst went about their routines, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing in their midst. David had concocted a plausible excuse to spend the afternoon at Emma's house, telling Claire he needed to meet with a client, a routine part of his job that usually didn't raise suspicion. Meanwhile, Emma had arranged for Noah to attend a friend's birthday party, ensuring they would have the house to themselves. The plan seemed foolproof. However, Claire had grown increasingly suspicious of David's frequent absences and vague explanations. That morning, she watched him closely, noticing the unusual care he took in choosing his clothes and the slight tremor in his hands as he grabbed his keys. Her intuition screamed that something was amiss, and determined to uncover the truth, she decided to follow him. David drove through the winding streets of Pinehurst, completely unaware of the car trailing him at a cautious distance. Claire's heart raced with a mixture of fear and anticipation when she saw him turn into Emma's driveway. Her worst fears were confirmed. She parked at a distance, her mind a whirlwind of anger, betrayal, and disbelief. Inside Emma's modest yet charming home, the atmosphere was one of stolen bliss. The lovers, oblivious to the impending confrontation, relaxed on the couch, David's arm draped over Emma's shoulders, their fingers intertwined. They spoke softly, laughed, and enjoyed the rare moments of peace and intimacy that their secret relationship allowed. Claire sat in her car, trying to steady her racing heart and gather her thoughts. Her hands trembled as she gripped the steering wheel, the sound of laughter from within the house a dagger to her heart. The carefully constructed walls of her life were crumbling, and she could no longer stand the uncertainty. She had to confront them and face the truth head-on. With a surge of resolve, fueled by heartbreak and fury, Claire exited her car and approached the front door. She hesitated for a moment, the sounds of laughter and intimacy from within fueling her anger. Without knocking, she pushed open the door and stepped inside. The scene she walked into was nothing short of a nightmare. David and Emma sprang apart, their faces a mix of shock and guilt. For a brief, intense moment, the room was filled with a deafening silence, the air thick with unspoken accusations and raw emotions. Claire's face was a mask of rage and betrayal, her eyes locked onto David's, demanding answers. "What the hell is going on here?" Claire's voice trembled with a mixture of anger and hurt. David, caught off guard, stammered, "Claire, I can explain." But Claire was beyond listening. Her fury boiled over, transforming her hurt into a powerful, almost unstoppable force. Words flew between them, sharp and painful, each accusation cutting deeper than the last. Emma, caught in the middle, tried to intervene, her voice pleading for calm, but her attempts were futile against the tidal wave of Claire's wrath. "You betrayed me!" Claire screamed, her voice breaking. "How could you do this to our family?" David reached out, trying to placate her, but his touch only intensified her anger. In a blind rage, Claire's eyes fell on a heavy vase on the mantel. Before anyone could react, she grabbed it and lunged at David. The first blow landed on his shoulder, sending him reeling backward, but Claire, fueled by a mix of rage and heartbreak, did not stop. She struck again and again, each blow landing with a sickening thud. Emma, horrified, fumbled for her phone and dialed 911, her hands shaking uncontrollably. The operator's voice seemed distant and unreal as she described the unfolding nightmare. "Please hurry, there's been an attack. Someone is seriously hurt." David's cries of pain filled the room, each one more desperate than the last. Blood splattered across the walls, the floor, and Claire herself. She was a woman possessed, her fury driving her to act without thought, without restraint. Emma could only watch in horror as the love of her life was beaten to a bloody pulp right before her eyes. "Stay with me!" Emma screamed into the phone, her voice frantic. "He's not moving! There's so much blood!" The operator's voice was calm, but it barely registered with Emma. Her world was a whirlwind of chaos and terror. She shouted their address, her words barely coherent through her sobs. The room reeked of coppery blood, and the sight of David's lifeless body was seared into her mind. David, bleeding and dazed, tried to defend himself, his arms raised to ward off Claire's relentless assault. Blood spattered across the room, staining the furniture and walls. Claire's anger had transformed her into a force of nature, her movements fueled by years of pent-up frustration and betrayal. David's body eventually ceased to move, his moans fading into a ghastly silence. Claire stood over him, panting heavily, the vase slipping from her bloodied hands and shattering on the floor. Her eyes were wide and wild, her mind grappling with the horror of what she had just done. By the time the police arrived, the living room was a scene of utter devastation. Furniture was overturned, blood was spattered across the walls, and David was almost unrecognizable from the severity of his wounds. Claire stood over him, the vase still clutched in her trembling hands, her face a mask of anguish and disbelief at what she had done. The officers quickly subdued Claire, gently prying the vase from her grasp and leading her away in handcuffs. She did not resist, her body limp and her eyes vacant, as if the reality of her actions had yet to fully sink in. Emma, still in shock, tried to answer the officer's questions, her voice shaky and broken. Paramedics worked feverishly to stabilize David, but it was too late. He was long gone. There was nothing they could do, as Claire had made sure to eliminate him in the most brutal way possible so that this man would never dare or be able to betray his family again. The aftermath of the violence left a profound silence hanging over the once peaceful home. Neighbors gathered outside, drawn by the sound of sirens and the sight of flashing lights, their faces etched with shock and curiosity. The tight-knit community of Pinehurst was left to grapple with the sudden and brutal shattering of its idyllic facade. As the sun set on that oppressively hot day, the storm that had been brewing within the hearts of the Martins finally erupted, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. The once serene community of Pinehurst was forever changed, the echoes of that fateful day haunting its residents for years to come. The trial of Claire Martin became a national sensation, drawing attention to the dark secrets hidden behind the white picket fences of Pinehurst. The courtroom was packed with reporters, residents, and curious onlookers, all eager to witness the drama unfold. Claire's defense centered on a plea of temporary insanity, fueled by the intense emotional distress of discovering her husband's affair. The prosecution, however, painted a picture of premeditated violence, arguing that Claire had planned her actions in a fit of calculated rage. The testimonies were heart-wrenching, revealing the depths of despair and betrayal that had led to that fateful day. Emma, struggling to maintain her composure, described the affair and the guilt that had plagued them both. David's colleagues and friends spoke of his charm and ambition, while neighbors recounted the growing tension between the Martins. In a dramatic climax, Claire took the stand, her voice trembling as she recounted the events that had driven her to such a desperate act. She spoke of years of sacrifice, of feeling increasingly isolated and unappreciated as David's career took precedence over their family. Her words were a stark reminder of the fragile balance between love and duty, and the devastating consequences when that balance is shattered.